Okay, so start. Should explain.
Reunited and it feels so
Good.
Welcome back to the Burg Life, guys. Episode?
Episode 5?
She's been doing her solo thing. It's episode 6.
Oh really? Oh really?
But guys, we're back together and we're here to tell you an amazing story.
Prepare for something amazing.
So as a lot of people may know, we had a marriage about two and a half years ago. And we got engaged the year before that. So that would bring us to 2018?
2017 we got engaged.
2017 we got engaged. But what a lot of people don't know is a couple of years before that, we were actually engaged once. Do you remember that?
Of course.
So our relationship is a little bit complicated to explain, but basically we met online.
On Facebook.
On Facebook. And we went through this absolute crazy adventure to try and meet each other. And we met each other for the first time in Yangon, in Myanmar. So we spent one day together there when we met for the first time. That story we'll tell you another day. However, about 3 months later, I came here to Qatar, where I spent a week with Neelu.
And that was in the month of Ramadan?
It was in the month of Ramadan, so that was very difficult. We got to spend a lot of time together during that week. But again, it was probably only the 6th or 7th day that we had seen each other. And following that, when I had to leave Qatar and go back to South Africa, the last thing I said to Neelu was, the next time I see you, I'm going to ask you to marry me. You know what she said? The next time I see you, I'm going to say?
Yes.
Alright, so that part of the bargain was pretty much all I needed to know to start setting up the next visit when I would see Neelu. So in September of that year, which was 2015, I believe it was 2015, I came up with this amazing plan on how to propose to Neelu.
Prepare for something amazing.
Now, me being a movie guy and a romantic, it had to be epic, right? We had met each other 6 times in our life. The 7th time I would meet her, I was going to ask her to be my wife. Scary, right?
It was so scary for me because I wouldn't imagine. It's just 6 times and we've not even known each other so well.
And yet she said yes. But anyway, so the planning started. I wanted to do this as a surprise for Neelu. Living in different countries was very, very difficult because everything was all or nothing. When we spent our days together, it was amazing. When we were apart, it was very difficult. There was trust issues. There was a lot of things that long distance relationships suffer from.
Insecurities and the fights we had.
We did, I mean, we were kind of okay at that point just because we had spent a week with each other. But it took me about 3 months to start planning. And as I say, I wanted it to be epic. So come September, I was basically looking at her roster and trying to find the right place to surprise her. And one of the places that came up on her roster was? Houston, Texas. They say everything's bigger in Texas, and they're damn right. So, me being in the position that I was in, living in South Africa, working in a very averagely paying job, this wasn't possible. I mean, I'd basically spent all I had trying to get to her twice to see her, once in Yangon, once here in Qatar. The 3rd time was going to take something really drastic. And most importantly, what does one need when they're getting engaged?
Engagement ring?
Engagement ring.
But diamonds are a girl's best friend.
as we said, in order to get there, I needed a few things. Firstly, I needed an engagement ring. Obviously, the biggest thing, right? I needed an flight ticket to get from South Africa to Houston, Texas. Thirdly, I needed money to survive, basically. Now, what I'd been doing my whole life was, I was a toy collector. I loved memorabilia. And over 35 years, I collected a lot of stuff. And now felt like the right time to sell everything. I never thought I would do that, but the decision for the first time seemed so obvious. This is what I was investing in. It was a moment like this. So over the period of a few weeks, I started selling off everything I owned. It was 80s toys, it was signed memorabilia, it was complete collections. It was crazy. Like I had a lot of criticism from friends, and I didn't really have family involved at that point, but everyone thought I was doing the complete wrong thing, and nobody could understand the magnitude of a relationship like this, where people had only seen each other 5 or 6 times, and on the 7th time they were trying to get married. Now, I, to have a little bit of comfort, had been speaking to Neelu's older sister, because that gave me a little bit of clarity as like, is this something she really wants? Is this okay? You know, being different cultures and different religions and that, there was a lot of loopholes that we had to get through. But of course, the last thing I needed was a US visa. So without those things, this would never have happened. As is my journey, everything has to be epic and everything has to be movie moments.
Of course.
So we'd continued chatting during this time, but you had no clue, right?
I had no idea. I really had no idea. I mean, till the time I saw you in the
No spoilers, no spoilers. She's trying to give anything away already. But basically, I'd kept up things as per normal. We used to have daily Skype chats. We would have video chats where we'd actually get to see each other. If there was something wrong with me, she'd see it and she'd be like, what's wrong? Something looks off or whatever. So I just played really cool. I'm not very good at keeping secrets. I tend to tease at them too much and end up giving them away. And she's a very good guesser.
Of course.
So she won't give up until she gets the answer. So luckily, I managed to keep it a secret from her. Applying for the US visa was a little bit difficult because I was only basically going to Houston, Texas for one day. There was a bit of questions from the embassy as to why I was doing that. So when I went to the US embassy and applied for a US visa for one day, the embassy lady was like, why are you going to the US for one day? I was like, well, I'm planning to surprise my girlfriend. I didn't even know she was my girlfriend then. To me she was. But I went to propose to my virtual girlfriend. And the lady was so inspired by the story, she literally stood up and high-fived me on the glass window saying that was the best story that she's heard.
High five! Great!
And my visa would be ready in a few days. So that sort of helped that somebody believed in the story at the embassy. I don't know how much or how often they get those kind of queries, but yeah, that was a good start. Now, in order to get the engagement ring and the ticket, that was another story. That took a lot of negotiating, it took a lot of wheeling and dealing, but eventually I sold off everything I owned in terms of comic book collections dating back to the 70s and 80s. All my toys, which hopefully you guys know by now, I'm a toy collector. Shout out to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. Yeah.
Really?
I paid for the show. But everything in my life at that point was collecting stuff, and like that's what brought me joy. But now I found a new person who was going to bring me joy in my life.
Was I bringing it at that time?
You were. I think we were in a weird space because we didn't know what was going on here, and we were playing it very carefully. But I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. So eventually I managed to raise enough money. I went with my mom to buy an engagement ring.
But I remember you sending me 100 pictures of engagement ring, and you're like, which one?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember that, and you're like, what kind of ring would you like, or what's your kind of ring? And you know, you would phrase a sentence in such a way that you would, maybe you were trying to find out what I wanted.
See, I don't even remember this. I was so focused on the end game.
Really?
Yeah. How did you not have a clue that this was coming? See, we both didn't know. We were clueless at that stage, probably because it was so crazy, right? So anyway, managed to get everything. I got a ring, I got a flight ticket, I got money to get there and to survive. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, I don't need a hotel stay because I can stay with her at a hotel. So I would literally be going there with nothing other than a ring and a hope that she was going to say yes. So once everything was confirmed, and I needed to time this so that I would be able to get to Neelu in Houston. Now the good thing is the layover, or the connecting flight should I say, was here in Doha. So ideally what I needed to do was catch a flight from South Africa to Doha without Neelu knowing about it, and then get the same flight as she would be flying on from Doha to Houston, Texas. Now that's not as easy as it seems, because her roster can change without my knowledge. She could be taken off the flight for whatever reason. I don't know. So I put a lot of faith in destiny and this working out. In my mind, I was going to book a seat on the plane that was near to where she was working.
How would you have done?
I had no idea. I just guessed where I would be. The idea would be to surprise her on the flight without freaking her out, basically. So,
but you freaked me out.
Spoilers! Look at this. So anyway, what I had to do was I had to make it seem like I was going to bed rather than going to a flight. So we had our usual Skype call one night, and I was like, sorry, I'm running out of data. We can't chat too much tonight. I hope that's okay. And what was your response to that?
I was quite suspicious, right?
No, I think you were irritated that I didn't want to chat.
All right.
So,
I don't recall that.
She
But
doesn't remember. She blocked this from her memory. But you can read a book. It's all in a book.
my book.
Our book. So basically what happened was I said goodnight to her very early, and I said that my data was finished. I'll top up in the morning and I'll chat to you then. In the meantime, when we ended the call, I headed to the airport in Johannesburg, caught my flight from Johannesburg to Doha, and caught my connecting flight, which she would be working on.
This flight from Johannesburg to Doha was a smooth one for you, unlike...
Very easy.
Okay.
8.5 hours of pure just being relaxed, being calm about everything. In my mind, I had no doubt this was going to work out, so I wasn't too worried about that. But based on my previous flight experiences, story for another day, this was
A smooth one.
a smooth one.
Alright.
So I arrived in Doha. Now I didn't know the procedure of how the cabin crew board the flight, so I basically hid in the passenger section waiting to board the flight so that she didn't see me. My idea was if I could get on the flight without her seeing me, and then seeing me during the flight would surprise her. I didn't know. So basically what I did was boarded my flight, walked to what do you call it? Use your technical terms. If I go this side of the plane?
Right, it's the right aisle.
I guess that's right aisle. So I went to the right aisle, I walked right to the back of the plane and took my seat in the last row. Because I'd spotted Neelu working a little bit more forward.
On the left-hand side.
On the left-hand side.
Yeah.
So what I did is I walked and I went to my seat and I sat and I stood and I waited.
Yeah.
And I saw Neelu helping a customer.
That freaked me out. I just couldn't believe my eyes.
At what?
I mean, the sight
helping?
of you there.
But you didn't see me.
I saw you.
No, you were turned around.
Oh yeah.
You do know you were the one I proposed to, right? Okay, all right, as long as she knows that. So essentially what happened was I stood and I waited and she had her back to me and I was like, turn around, turn around, turn around. And once she had finished helping the customer, she turned around and
then I froze there. I was thinking, what is he doing here? Is it really him?
her jaw literally hit the floor, guys. Like, I didn't know if I'd done something extremely wrong or if she was that surprised, but she literally turned around
And I ran.
and she ran.
I was so nervous, freaked out. I was, 100 thoughts in my head. I was in my workspace and then you've landed there without telling me, without informing me that you'd be there. So I just didn't know how to react. And I went to the forward section of the cabin, asking myself 100 questions. What should I do? What should I do? Am I, I was happy and I was nervous and then I was, I think, everything at the same time.
She was like this. So essentially, guys, this is a word of warning. These things don't always work out that magical. Oh, I'm so glad to see you, especially if you go to their place of work. Eventually, Neelu did come to my seat and she's like, oh, what are you doing here?
How did you manage?
And the first thing I said was,
your sister knows, don't worry, your sister knows.
so immediately that justified what I was doing. So once the shock had sort of worn off, I think she was really happy to see me on the flight.
I was.
I think she was very nervous of what I would do on the flight, but not to worry, I would never do anything to jeopardize her job.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Congratulations on your first week at your brand new job. It won't be long before you're the boss. And you know who will be there to support you. Your one and only boyfriend.
It's nice to have a boyfriend.
Your loyal, loving boyfriend, Ross. Ross.
Plan A cancelled, plan B. But throughout the flight, like she would come past me and she would check if I needed anything. And I kept seeing other crew coming and looking at me like, who is this guy?
Flirting with me.
Yeah, because you know, us guys, we generally flirt with the cabin crew because that's what you do on a plane.
Really?
That's what I used to do on a plane before I met this
Really?
one. No. Anyway, the idea is nice, right? So, yeah, but she was spoiling me with stuff. When we walked past each other, there was just that little brush of hands against each other, or, you know, just those little moments that really got me excited to see her again. Anyway, when we got to Houston, obviously, you know, we had to separate at the airport. I got her hotel details. I got her hotel details before, and I said, listen, I'm staying with you because I don't have a place to stay, which she seemed okay with, thankfully.
Of course.
But the idea was once we got to Houston, she would separate with the crew, they would go to the hotel, I would need to go through immigration and find my way to the hotel. So when I went to immigration, again, the guys are like, you're here in Houston, Texas for one day. That's my Houston, Texas accent, very bad. And I was like, yeah, I'm here to propose to my girlfriend. And again, the guy at immigration is like, high five, buddy, good luck to you.
High five! Great!
And I was like, wow, this is meant to be. This is absolutely meant to be.
All supporting you.
All supporting me. Everyone was in on the game. Not even my friends were supportive of it. But these strangers who just loved the story and loved having this part of their day be dedicated to it, I think really helped add to the moment. So once I was done with that, headed to the hotel. We sort of had our official reunion and had a great catch up, but I think we were both very exhausted that night. So it was a case of, hey, let's sleep tonight. Tomorrow we'll go out sightseeing. We'll go see a little bit of the city. And yeah, I think that's exactly what we did, right?
Yeah. That night, I think we crashed. It was just that.
Big time. So I think the next morning, maybe you can tell a bit of this story because all I remember was how much you were shaking that entire morning, especially at breakfast.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know, I have a very strong intuition. When things are about to happen, I get some sort of sense of it. I can see some pictures happening. So I was very nervous because I literally I felt that you would propose to me in a public area.
Not at breakfast, don't worry.
So I was like shaken because I just didn't know how to answer that question. Of course, I said I would say yes to you, but for me it was all happening way too fast. And I was like, I don't want to embarrass you at the same time. I don't want to be putting us in that journey where we would struggle later on, you know. I was very divided. I was very tensed. So I was going all shaky.
Literally legs were shaking like this. There's a South African word called beavering. That's what she was doing.
I was beavering.
But yeah, so I think the whole day, as much as we were enjoying the outing, I think you knew something was coming.
Yeah, and I wasn't into the outing properly. I think I was like still, those things were going on. You asked me several times, come on, relax, it's gonna be all right. Let's buy you something.
So yeah, we did the usual thing. We went to the mall, we did a bit of shopping. What did we have? Benihana for lunch, I think it was.
Yeah, that was my first time.
No, my only time.
Okay.
So like we had a pretty normal day, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, where do I propose? How do I do this? When's the right moment? Where's the right place? Initially, I was going to do it in a park. I researched something online, but the logistics of getting there just weren't working, and it wasn't sort of in our timeline or our budget. So we ended up going out and coming back to the hotel. Now, when we'd arrived there, I'd found out that there was a rooftop Spindle top revolving restaurant in the hotel. I was like, well, that's as good a place as any. So when we came back, I was like, get some rest before, we'll go for dinner. You take a nap, I'll go see what the restaurant here is like. So Neelu went to bed, had a bit of a nap. I went to the restaurant, I explained to them, hey guys, this is my story. I'm really planning on proposing to my girlfriend tonight. Again, girlfriend, I was just a friend to her apparently. But this is my plans, can you guys help me out? So they were like, yeah, absolutely, this is amazing. We'll make it very special for you. Come back here at about 7:30. You know, the usual sort of support you'd get from a restaurant. So I went down, waiting for Neelu to wake up, and I'm like, get ready, let's go for a nice dinner.
And then you gave it away again by saying, wear something very nice. Wear a dress prop.
I think I told her to bring a red dress probably.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obvious, right? But yeah, like I told her to just
Dress
nicely. So obviously we're going to a nice restaurant.
You had a doubt that I dressed badly?
Never.
So you said dress nicely.
It worked while we were doing that. But yeah, so I mean, it was obvious what was going to happen. I think it was just two questions. Did I have the courage to go through with this? Would she say yes? Those were the two things. So we went to the restaurant in the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a dinner.
You're phasing out now?
Got her a bit of champagne, you know. Maybe if I could get her a little bit tipsy, she'd say yes easily.
Excuse me?
Did it
Doesn't
work?
work.
It did work.
Damn right.
So we done it, and again, she's shaking the whole night, like when she's holding her
I
cutlery.
wasn't that bad.
That was just
Exaggeration
that was the alcohol
now.
that was making her.
No.
But there was nerves, and she knew it was coming at some point. I think it was just a question of when. So we finished the meal. I carried the ring with me in my pocket. Movie moment, of course. I gave some speech. I can't even remember what the speech was because I was out of it. I was like in the zone. I didn't drink, don't worry. I was in the zone. I was like, I need to get through this. So I gave some speech which in my mind was probably romantic, but in my execution was probably more like blah, 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 blah. So I think in her mind it was the reverse. She was hearing blah, 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 blah. So basically I got around the table and I came. I wasn't standing on the table, I promise. I got up off my seat and I went around the table to her side. I went down on one knee and I proposed. And almost immediately, what did you say?
Yes.
In fact, it was immediately. She said yes. And at that moment, the entire restaurant started applauding.
Yeah. It was amazing. It was like, this couldn't be real. Get goosebumps still thinking about it. And then the patrons of the restaurant or the staff came and they brought us a cake, they brought us a card, and they wished us congratulations. They really made a big deal about it, and it really felt special and amazing. And I think straight after that we went back to the room. We called our families. She called her sister, I called my mom. My mom is nowhere in picture right now.
My mom didn't even know about us at that stage. Little did I know. But yeah, it just felt like this amazing moment. And we got our movie moment. We had, we had all these many characters that were involved in it. And the next day we were on cloud nine. We went around Houston, Texas. We took a walk. We were in love. As you can tell by the pictures that I'll show you guys, there was just genuine happiness. And for the first time in my life, I had found that. And I think it was, they say you know when it's the right person. Absolutely, I knew at that point already. She's got the ring, but yeah, I think
it's still the same one.
After all of that, the reality set in, and she needed to go back to Doha. I needed to go back to South Africa the next day.
The cloud nine was.
So there was this immediate come down of what had happened, and yeah, I think the next time I saw her, she'd break up with me. Thanks for watching this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for future videos.